companion, and again, just kind of hold off those Phoenixes and those sort of things until you can get Atrax on the battlefield, and that should take care of things.
Can I jump in real quick here and make just a very small observation, Cedric? When I was talking to Jason, they did say that essentially the creativity deck, this is their words, not mine.
Okay.
Azorius control splashing creativity.
Interesting.
So if Jason makes it to the top 8,
yeah,
I think that's a dub for your boy.
Okay, I got a quick question for you.
Go on.
So Azorius,
yeah,
when you add a red card to it,
a triple red card.
Yeah, we agree. We agree. That makes it a how many color deck?
Listen, we don't need to get into it. We do have
easy.
no. We are going to have to move on. It looks like we're getting that's our time. So
okay,
yep,
all right. I think it's time for me to
get
get to that tipping point now.
Yes,
yeah.
Cedric. What's the tipping point here?
Is when you add a third color to a 2-color deck. That makes it a 3-color deck, Riley.
That's debatable.
The other tipping point is that if Atrax is on the battlefield, we are done here. So if you are Jean-Emmanuel, the goal is to kill Jason as quickly as possible, or at least get yourself in a position where once Jason has to go for the Indomitable Creativity, it's countered by a Spell Piercer. It'd be really tough if it was a Jari Disruption. That'd be very painful, but that's the plan. So this is the card that this entire matchup is going to revolve around.
All right, everybody, it is time for the penultimate round here at Pro Tour Murders at Karlov Manor. Marshall and Monty have the call.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome back to the booth here. So as you noticed here, we are down the stretch on the day, and that means, of course, that there are top 8 seats up for grabs. And in fact, our entire feature match area is filled with people vying for top 8 seats. We are going to be filling 3 of them this round. We're going to start things off with the match that they just set up at the news desk. That's going to be Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, who had a bumpy start to the draft way back on day 1. 0-2 to kick things off, and just has been on a ripping tear ever since. We're kind of used to this now. Jean-Emmanuel, the freight train, doesn't stop for anything. Are also, by the way, reigning world champion, playing for top 8 this round right now. Facing down against Jason Yi, who's got Jeskai creativity. As Riley pointed out, this does play out like a blue-white control shell with Yorion and all that stuff. And apparently Jason said splashing for the triple red spell of creativity, but it does give that very powerful bump and also helps take away a little bit of the downside of playing an 80-card deck.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very simple, easy splash.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, it is very much a control deck. You know, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Wandering Emperor. These are cards that you do typically see in the control deck. Now, one thing I do want to point out, Marshall, one fun little pattern that we see developing. 2 years ago, Yuta Takahashi won the World Championship, then top 8 at the next Pro Tour.
Right.
A year ago, Nathan Stoyer won the World Championship, then top 8 at the next Pro Tour. Jean-Emmanuel Depraz just won the World Championship. I mean, I'm just saying, at some point, this isn't going to be impressive anymore if every world champion is just going to top 8 the next Pro Tour.
Yeah, you fill in the blank on this one. We'll see right here and right now. Matchups-wise, what's your take on this one, Monty? The Izzet deck, very consistent at doing exactly what it wants to do. Basically, every single card in the deck moves its game plan forward towards that plan of getting some Phoenixes into play. Light on disruption, where the opposite is true in the hands of Jason here. Very disruptive deck.
Azorius control Phoenix, if we look at the control matchup, pretty close. That's something that a lot of players agree with. The matchup could go either way. One of the reasons that Phoenix is maybe slightly favored is Azorius control doesn't have pressure. Well, this Jeskai deck is kind of like Azorius control, but with pressure. So it definitely evens the bar a bit. They have the ability to go over the top. And Atraxa landing against Phoenix is terrifying because, much like Vein Ripper, it's a giant creature that flies, blocks all the damage, and gains life. So I would say it's very close. Jean-Emmanuel certainly has the tools to combat it.
All right, let's see what happens here. You see card selection spells from both players in the early stages here.
That's a big part of the splash, you know, splash. That really isn't a splash. As soon as you see the third red card, we're just a 3-color deck. Let's call it what it is.
So you're saying Cedric was right?
Definitely Cedric was right. Riley is never right.
So you started from the premise that Cedric was right, and then he also happened to be very right.
No. I started from the premise that Riley is wrong, and then I got to Cedric being right. It's very different things.
Monty logic. I'll
it's
figure
just
this
math,
out.
really. You'll get it eventually.
Oh, man. Poor Riley. He tried, but even he pointed out we're talking about triple red.
Yeah.
All right, was that a lightning axe?
It was a lightning axe, and
Okay.
I believe it's going to be 3 spells for the turn, one of which is this treasure cruise. So 3 spells, 3 cards, and a phoenix coming back. This is a pretty great start for JD, and clearing off that goblin shaman means that the chances of Jason being able to go for creativity this turn really slim, if none. And JD will have removal and interaction when he untaps. So this is a nice spot for the Phoenix player, being able to have a Phoenix on turn 3 with a full hand.
Discard 2. I'm gonna see. Okay.
And it looks like double Omen of the Sea is going to hit the hit the graveyard here for Jason as they take advantage of that second chapter.
Go.
On Fable, pass the turn back with 4 mana available this time, though.
Yeah, one of the big differences that we see from this creativity list compared to the one, let's say, Reed Duke won the Pro Tour with last year, Pro Tour Phyrexia, there's no Dwarven Mines. That was, you know, part of the game plan of your lands creating tokens that you can use to creativity. When you're a 3-color deck, it's a little tougher to do that. So no Dwarven Mines in the deck means that generating the tokens that you need to be able to go creativity off of gets a little tougher.
Okay. In the meantime, this Phoenix doing good work. Halfway there. Jason's down to 10.
The question is how much interaction Jean-Emmanuel Depraz has in hand to at least fight what Jason is doing here if they are just trying to be the control player.
Yep.
Once again, free the Fae. Second time that this has resolved this game.
Finds the Spell Pierce. I would love for Jean-Emmanuel to just take it and fire it off. Don't give Jason free cards in this spot. If their hand is at all awkward, I think you're very happy not to let them go further.
Wow, so Memory Deluge is going to get hit by Spell Pierce. Go. I assume in this deck that the reflection isn't at its absolute peak.
It's a creature.
Yeah.
You can target it with creativity.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
That's a pretty low bar.
It is. We have seen...
Does it copy sweet stuff? Like, does it...
The Goblin Shaman is always a good target.
Yeah.
You can make giant sharks with a Cycle Shark Typhoon.
Okay.
And copy that. There are things. They're not overly exciting things. But right now, if Jason had a creativity, they would have a target. Jean-Emmanuel has the Fire Impulse in hand, I believe, so it wouldn't actually resolve and get the combo going. But at least it was something where they previously had nothing.
Speaking of not particularly exciting plays, that was pay 3 mana, put Yorion into hand for Jason.
Unexciting currently, but not unexciting overall. Yorion, 4/5 flyer, does a great job of holding off Phoenixes. Also, there's an Omen of the Sea on the board, so it can really help reshape the hand. And as long as Jean-Emmanuel Depraz is only attacking with 1 Phoenix, Jason going down to 7 and then resolving a Yorion could just stabilize the game if JD doesn't have something like a Lightning Axe in hand.
You saw that Fiery Impulse on end step does just take care of the reflection because might as well use your mana on one of the few targets that you actually have. Arclight Phoenix still sitting there on the battlefield, but it is by itself. Jason's at 10.
And Jason has a No More Lies in hand, so they do have a counterspell up available right now. It's an exile counterspell as well, so if JD's best play, for example, is I'm going to tap out and play an Arclight Phoenix, well, that's not going to be good enough, and it's gone permanently. So definitely Jason not in the worst position, though of course they are on the back foot given the situation that is playing out here.
Jean-Emmanuel saw Treasure Cruise with Consider and binned it.
Don't think that's overly surprising depending on the makeup of his hand, but we'll see what the game plan is. I do see at least 1 Lightning Axe, so there's that removal spell that you need for the Yorion. I think that is really exciting for JD, especially if Jason just goes Yorion, I'm hoping this is good enough, and Jean-Emmanuel can go Lightning Axe it, untap, cast an Arclight Phoenix. That's just 7 damage with this Lion that Jean-Emmanuel has taken. So Jason may be forced to no more lies this picklock prankster to not fall into that trap.
No more lies? Yep.
Look at that.
Clear land.
The prankster itself drew a no more lies.
It's all about breakpoints, and that was a farewell drawn for Jason. That's really big, because now, instead of Yorion, you can go Shockland, exile the board and the graveyard, turn off any delve spells.
Wow.
That, it's really tempting to do that, but
Yes.
Jason's saying Yorion better.
Well, you mentioned it. A lot of toughness, good blocker.
Oof. Tracks on top as well as a mana confluence. So I think Jason, if they keep both on top, could just hard cast Attracts the next.
Oh, wow.
Mana confluence, one of the few lands. There are a few in this Jeskai creativity deck that does actually allow them to generate green mana. That's the Triome in play, generates black mana. So they have the tools to hard cast Attracts should the game get to that point.
And there was a lightning axe straight away to take down Yorion.
Time walk and play Brainstorm.
And here's a time walk. And that's going to do it.
And that's what I was worried about. I think if
Temporal
you
trespass for the win there.
I think if you cast that farewell and exile the graveyards, you could prevent that from happening. And Jason would have had more time, but opted to go for the Yorion line and getting punished for it.
So game number 1 goes to the champ,
The champ,
the world champ, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz.
post board, the combo decks don't really benefit.
Okay.
You know, again, creativity is a control combo deck. Their primary game plan is a control deck that sometimes goes, oops, Atraxa, now I have more cards to control the game with. But Jean-Emmanuel gets to be more reactive here, gets to shape his deck. Bringing cards like Young Pyromancer in could allow him to pressure the Planeswalkers that Jason could put out. So the matchup gets really interesting post-board.
I always wonder about that for the, particularly for the Yorion decks. Bringing in stuff out of the sideboard, generally less effective just by virtue of the fact that you have so few
How
cards.
big your deck is,
Right.
yeah. You know, you make up for it with sheer amount of card draw
Right.
that you do play.
See a lot of cards.
Omen of the Sea, you get to see a lot of cards from it. Memory Deluge, Fable the Mirror Breaker, they help, but the impact of any given card is
Go ahead.
less out of the sideboard.
End of turn.
Saw that first consider from Jean-Emmanuel did hit an Arclight Phoenix, so
The
he
dream.
put that right in the bin.
Spots.
And now we're going to see,
My command modes. I draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and I create a treasure. Sure.
so we're going to see a tapped out Jean-Emmanuel Depraz as he's going for Free the Fae. And on the other side, Jason's going to take advantage of the tapped out status here of Jean-Emmanuel to resolve a Prismari command. Loot 2, make a treasure.
Yeah, the treasure is a target for creativity should they go for that. But really looking at the hand, this is just trying to mold things and set up better. A lot of powerful cards in this hand, at least 2 copies of Lightning Helix, one which looks to be getting discarded. I see a Get Lost, a Fable, a No More Lies, as well as a Supreme Verdict.
Get lost. Okay.
Not really surprising given how this game is shaping up to see 2 removal spells discarded and the Get Lost and the Lightning Helix.
Yep.
And that treasure token also signifies one other thing. 5 mana potentially next turn means Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
Oh, sure.
So if Jean-Emmanuel Depraz says, okay, the best you can do on 4 mana is the Wandering Emperor, which I'm scared of, but I can't really do much about. I'll play as if you don't have it. But once 5 is on the table, now Jean-Emmanuel Depraz might have to be reactive, might have to play scared, and not go for 3 cantrips. For example, you can't really do it off of a red land, but 3 cantrips bring back a Phoenix.
And we did see that. Jean-Emmanuel just passed the turn back with the 3 lands available there. This is a Fable the Mirror Breaker on the stack now for Jason.
Another Threshold, 2 mana available, Spell Pierce off the table.
Makes sense.
Jean-Emmanuel has a negate, but would have loved to be able to use the Spell Pierce here if he had one.
Also, is there a counter back potential for Jason?
I feel like you do want to force this Fable through with your hand. So
No
I
more
think
lies.
Jason should go for the No More Lies. But it's really tough to tap out here and use your treasure.
So Jason's going to remain patient and allow the negate to resolve. There's still another play on end step here from Jean-Emmanuel. It's another consider. First one hit a Phoenix, so that was nice, but it looks like not such a simple decision this time. Looks
It's
like
an
maybe
opt.
a memory. Oh, it's an opt. Okay.
Yep.
So opt goes into hand there for Jean-Emmanuel, but is there a land drop coming too?
Do see a Spire Bluff Canal, but
Okay.
that would be tapped. Jean-Emmanuel has more to do with instant speed. Another copy of Free the Fae. We saw the first Picklock Prankster pick that up earlier. I think there's a pathway in his hand as well. So land drops aplenty. How much removal / counter spells Jean-Emmanuel has access to? Less clear, but at the moment sitting somewhat comfortable playing the instant speed game, especially against an opponent who has less cards in hand than you. Jason may have to pick up Yorion pretty soon, given how their hand is going, but at least they
Okay.
do have a cycle of a Triumph available here. So we'll see exactly how they choose to play here.
Another Free the Fae. This is again on end step.
Really tempting target for this No More Lies.
Yeah.
Pick one.
I think the impact of Free the Fae in this Phoenix deck really cannot be understated. Finding a card, giving you a potential creature in the future, however small the creature is, and fueling your graveyard has just been so backbreaking time and time again that this card is a really frequent target for discard spells and counter spells, which, you know, you never really expected it to be.
Not at
until
all.
you see it play out in this deck.
It's getting mad respect, and you talked about this earlier today, Monty, but the fact that it only costs 2 versus the slot that it's replacing costing 3 is huge, because there's so many times that the difference between casting that third card, that third spell in a turn, isn't whether you have it, it's whether you run out of mana.
Exactly, and the instant speed just very important, especially in matchups like this where you want to make sure that your opponent is using their mana on their turn. So when you untap, the coast is clear.
So far, still just that one Arclight Phoenix in the yard here for Jean-Emmanuel. And he's done a good job of maneuvering to keep anything big from coming down, but hasn't really advanced his own game plan very much.
This is really the cost of making your deck more reactive
Right.
post-board, is sometimes you have less threats. It also really depends on how much mana you want to be leaving up at any given point. Wouldn't be surprised to see JD start developing maybe a Picklock Prankster, just have a smaller creature on the battlefield. Jason finally picking up Yorion and getting a Mystical Dispute in hand. They're ahead on mana. Mystical Dispute against JD is still a very valid card right now.
Yeah, another tap land as well, so trying to press that advantage. This is going to be Chart a Course now. Draw 2, discard a card in this case.
Not really
Oh.
discarding a card if it's a Phoenix.
Oh, even better.
Beautiful.
So this is the turn.
I think this may be the turn. Jean-Emmanuel picked up a Treasure Cruise, so he could go for it. If Jason responds with their Mystical Dispute, Jean-Emmanuel gets the Spell Pierce. Yes, Jason can pay for it, but it costs them a treasure, and Jean-Emmanuel
It's
has
the
cast
third
3
spell.
spells, so Phoenix is back.
That's a tapped island indicating, yes, Treasure Cruise indeed. And of course, Jean-Emmanuel will be carefully picking around those Arclight Phoenixes.
Now that land actually means that Jean-Emmanuel can just pay for Mystical Dispute.
Oh,
It does stop him from casting a 3rd spell, but now Jason doesn't even go for the dispute, and that means it is pretty comfortably Phoenix time, I think.
already 2/3 of the way there, and with 2, oh,
No.
look at this patience though from Jean-Emmanuel. Perhaps with a 1 mana spell, an opt or something, maybe you go for it, but instead it's going to be patience. And once again, patience from both players.
You also have to just be aware of the fact that that treasure token exists on Jason's side. That is a target for creativity, so
Great point.
it's online.
Once again, we see respect to Free the Fae. That one did actually eat the Mystical Dispute.
There's one card at the end of JD's hand that I can't really make out, but I think it may be a Test of Talents.
Okay.
And if it is, having access to that is really nice.
Yeah, this is very patient from both players. Nobody wants to be the one to make some crazy move. Looks like we're just going to cycle a Raugrin Triumph here, though, for Jason. That's on end step. Meanwhile, Jean-Emmanuel's only play for the turn was just another bird. It is a test of talents.
Yeah. And Jason's hand is not shaping up. It's Lightning Helix, Yorion, the Supreme Verdict that they've had for a while, and an Island. So nothing else to cycle right now. No Omen of the Sea for the Yorion to really blink out if they were to even go for it. So Yorion, just a 4/5 flyer right now, which is big, but if you're not getting value off of it, it's not really what you want to go for. So Jason just hoping that JD doesn't really go for anything, because their big response is Supreme Verdict, your Phoenixes.
Yeah.
All right,
see him again in a couple turns.
Yeah.
Is the test of talents aimed at creativity? Is it just a flexible counterspell? What's the idea here?
You know, you'd love to get creativity with it just because it removes that from the equation. You never have to worry about, okay, well, if I pass, there's just going to be an Atraxa. We're at the point in the game where Atraxa is hard castable, so I think Test of Talents is very quickly becoming more of a negate than anything.
Okay.
Or, you know, a worse negate.
And you see a big two-spell turn here for Jean-Emmanuel, at least so far, as he really wants to go the much slower route and get these Ledger Shredders rolling.
Yeah, Shredder number 2 being the first spell for the turn into Prankster means you get both Connive triggers. Jason does have a Lightning Helix in hand, but you see that they let at least the first Connive trigger resolve, saying, okay, I can reconsider based on what JD discards to kill the second one perhaps, but ultimately letting both Connive triggers resolve here.
It was a Lightning Axe trigger on the stack. Good.
All right.
And then the Prankster resolves after that. Untapped Steam Vents here to finish off for Jean-Emmanuel. And now he has an attack force. He's got 5 power in the air and can start chipping away.
Yeah, and this could force out the Supreme Verdict from Jason, and Supreme Verdict uncounterable. So
yeah,
you're not going to do anything about that one. That's creativity.
Ooh, some business here. Jason, unfortunately, not in a position to protect it, right? Doesn't have a backup counter spell or anything like that. So it is going to be Supreme Verdict, but as you mentioned, uncounterable, so there's going to be no questions about that.
And not going for the creativity. This is just such patience. I think the terrifying thing here for JED, and something he has to be worried about, is Jason is approaching the point, and I believe is at the point, where if they draw Atraxa, they can just hardcast it.
Oh, yeah.
And
you're going to be looking down at some Spell Pierces or something.
Spell Pierce, Test of Talents.
Right.
Those don't counter Atraxa. You're not doing anything about that.
Is this another cruise?
This is another cruise.
Okay, well, with the trigger on the stack for the Ledger Shredder, Lightning Helix is going to get cast and resolves. So still no threats on the battlefield thus far have been able to stick for Jean-Emmanuel, but he's just winning this card advantage fight. I mean, this is his second treasure cruise that he's resolved.
Yeah, that's a negate. Once again, not doing anything to Atraxa. So I think for Jason, more than anything, they would just love to draw a creature.
Oh, that was a Trox off the top of the library for you, Monty.
Run it out. Take a look at the list. There's 2 mystical disputes Jean-Emmanuel Depraz has access to. That's what you have to be afraid of. Maybe you play around it. You try to get to 10 lands.
Creativity, next one.
Okay, so it looks like Jason is going to say, all right, I'm going to force the issue here and see if you can stop me. And then I'll hardcast as a backup plan.
Yeah, JD will find out about this. So Test of Talents will give JD a look at Jason's hand. So that'll be a face-up Atraxa for next turn. So Yorion was already face-up. All right, cat's out of the bag. Now for JD, name of the game is find Mystical Dispute. Or at least play in a way where you're really, really bluffing that Mystical Dispute to convince Jason not to cast the Atraxa.
All right, JD did just see the other copies.
It's the only one?
I don't think there are any other copies.
I thought I saw him go buy one.
No. Oh, there's one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was very
That
confused.
was
You
it.
weren't sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's-
okay. All
Yeah,
right.
That's what I
had
saw.
just other things in mind.
All right, never mind.
I saw all those. Yeah, I don't know what he was looking
His
at.
question, that's the
I
only
was
one,
pretty
was.
sure there were more.
All right, JD.
Jason probably had their heart skip a beat on that. Like, wait a minute.
Does he not see them?
Were they not there? What happened? Okay, and JD writes down Atraxa and Yorion in hand.
Yorion as a companion is in a different sleeve, so that one really stands out like a sore thumb.
So interesting here for Jean-Emmanuel, because if he does have ways to interact, ways to stop this, no problem. But if there's going to be an Atraxa hardcast next turn and he feels that that's what's going to happen, he's going to have to come up with some threats and quickly.
I think I saw him pick up a Free the Fae. If he has that, that's a decent number of looks at a mana leak. Sorry, Mystical Dispute.
Okay.
Let's,
There it is. Atraxa on the stack here.
Ask a question. No.
And it resolves. Atraxa Grand Unifier hits the battlefield. Probably a handful of, yeah, negates and that type of counter. So we're going to look at the top 10 cards. And then you can pick one of each type.
All right.
You can see the list on the left side of your screen there. Artifact, battle creature, enchantment, instant land, planeswalker, sorcery. You get one of each.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be chained Dovin's Veto in a land, so definitely a surmountable Atraxa. It could be a lot worse. Didn't get a Planeswalker, doesn't have to deal with that. That's pretty nice. But, you know, Dovin's Veto, that's going to do a good job of forcing something through.
And Jason is able to kind of have it all. They play a land this turn, Chain of the Rocks to get rid of the young Pyromancer, and thanks to the treasure, Dovin's Veto will be up as well.
Yeah, JD might have to fight this because of how many lands Jason has access to. You have a dead Spell Pierce in hand, so this negate will do it. And if Jason goes for Veto, then you can Spell Pierce afterwards. Ultimately,
and do something with it.
Yeah, Jason letting it go through because they want to save that Veto, make sure a Treasure Cruise or a Temporal Trespass or an answer to this Atraxa doesn't resolve, because right now, they have the lead.
Is this Pyromancer attacking?
Sure is.
Just trying to double up with a Lightning Axe?
Full price?
Yeah, that is what's
Full
happening.
price Lightning Axe. Veto
So
it.
Dovin's Veto happens. Is there another Lightning Axe?
No. I
I
think this is a I'm pretty dead from Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, if I have to guess.
I just heard Jean-Emmanuel say, so you gain 7 life? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
this isn't great. And remember, Atraxa also has Vigilance as well as the life link, so that's going to be huge life swings going over in Jason's favor. And now we get Yorion to blink the Atraxa as well?
Marshall, is that good?
I think this is over.
Yeah, it's over. Look,
So what do you take away from this from Jean-Emmanuel's side? He was able to keep Jason from doing too many things for quite a while, but never really had any pressure.
I think this is mostly bad luck. I think the fact that you went through so many cards and you weren't able to find a Mystical Dispute, so your opponent was able to resolve a 7-mana creature. I don't think the takeaway is necessarily that your game plan is bad. I think this just didn't work out exactly how you needed them to. Maybe if you move 1 or 2 bars a little bit, that'll be enough. You know, the game really devolved to a point that you don't want it to get to.
Okay. Well, let's see how it goes this time, because we get a game 3 between Jason Yee and Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. This is for top 8. If you're just joining us, both of these players are 11-3, and with a win this round, yeah, there's another round after, but it would be enough to lock up top 8. If you get to 12 wins before the last round there, then you lock it up. So
just like Sam Party, who already has done so, you stop playing and you get a breather, you go for dinner early, if you're Sam Party or if you're part of a team like Jason or Jean-Emmanuel, you support your teammates. Really is a very privileged and nice relaxed position. Hey, Mystical Dispute. Where were you last game?
Jeez. There's a lot of action off that Free the Fae too.
I think this is where we would say you hit too hard. Is
Yeah,
the phrase we
definitely.
like to use.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Don't use it all up.
Yeah. Jason's hand, not the greatest. I think Chain to the Rocks, creativity. I believe there's a memory deluge there, but not that much interaction. I wonder how much of a sign of weakness it is from JED taking the sleight of hand there over 2 premium interaction spells. Like,
Yeah.
does that tell Jason that JED has an abundance of interaction, or does he have too few lands?
Right.
And that's what he's looking for.
That's interesting.
Right. Those are the really 2 paths of reading the situation.
Definitely.
If you're in Jason's seat.
Another land off the top there for Jason, and they're not going to miss a land drop for quite a while. Land go, and once again, we've seen this time and time again. Free the Fae number 2. This just becomes such an important card. Oh, and there's an Arclight Phoenix.
I think this time you take Mystical Dispute.
Yeah, JD did hit a land drop blaster, and there it is, Mystical Dispute going into hand.
Just making sure to do the count. Looking at all the cards that Jason has showed him. All right, nope.
Oh, wrong. Sleight of Hand's going to go into hand once again. And another adventuring prankster. Maybe we'll come back later. Opt was off the top. Okay.
Yep.
So this does indicate, though, land drops are a consideration.
Maybe. I think now JD might just be trying to fire off 1/1 mana spell to bring these Phoenixes back. Doing a count maybe about Treasure Cruise, because there is one in the hand. So could go consider into Sleight of Hand, into Treasure Cruise, bring back a Phoenix, start pressuring. I think that's way more likely if JED has access to a Spell Pierce. Haven't seen one yet. There's a Charter Course in hand that's a little awkward.
And there it is. There's that Treasure Cruise you were just talking about, Monty. Almost the whole graveyard goes away. But 3 cards into hand means very likely to hit these land drops. Although double Ledger Shredder
What about 3
into
creatures,
a
Marshall?
Drake. Wait a minute.
I think he has the land.
Oh, does he already have it? I
think
couldn't see one.
I'm not certain.
Here's Sleight of Hand. Phoenix, not land. That was a negate. Oh, we'll find out.
Yeah.
You didn't hit one, though. That's a lot of cards in a row without seeing a land, so we're going to have to hope
There's
for
a
a
Spiral
JD.
Canal.
There was a canal.
It's
Okay.
tapped, so if JD goes for just, I mean, not goes for, when JD plays that canal, Jason can go Cycle Shark Typhoon, untap Creativity.
Oh.
Jason can go Prismari Command, make a token, untap Creativity.
Scary.
JD is
This is a hold your breath moment for Jean-Emmanuel
Jason doesn't
Depraz.
have it.
Oh, okay.
And there was no Shark Typhoon.
Oof.
That is a exhale moment for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz.
And that is a,
Rest in peace.
yeah.
Well, it did get a Phoenix, it looks like.
It got a Phoenix.
And one is going to get chained to the rock, so half of the best threats gone.
Okay, let's 5.
And I assume they don't come back.
Cards 5. I believe Supreme Verdict still in hand alongside that Memory Deluge.
I think that Jason may need that Supreme Verdict at some point as well, because
no verdict. No, 3 lands plus Creativity and Deluge.
Okay.
So if JD just goes for Crackling Drake here, that's going to be large, Marshall. That could be a 2-turn clock, maybe even a 1-turn clock.
That counts exile, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does.
And even better, it draws your card. So.
Oh, I mean, you can't beat that rate.
Yeah. They save the best for last, Crackling Drake.
Supreme Verdict is such an interesting card because you can't really afford to wait for it. You need to draw it out with enough pressure that mandates it. So maybe JED goes for double Ledger.
Wow, look at this Crackling Drake.
Yeah, you just run it out.
And now I think he's going to miss a land drop, but that means all spells in hand here for Jean-Emmanuel. Oh, discard to hand size even.
Yep.
I guess draw card's not quite that cool when you have to discard it anyway, but...
Treasure Cruise with a dead card anyways.
And it pumped up the Drake.
Yep, power.
So how big?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
9.
So 9 extra.
Yep. The count is 9.
That's not using that.
Yeah, it does feel like it's going to be hard to get it up to the full lethal in one swing, but
Yeah, don't think that's happening. And
but a 2-turn clock's already there.
Jason
So.
drew the Wandering Emperor.
Oh, really?
I think JED passed up on a negate earlier in order to take an Arclight Phoenix.
You're right.
He discarded to hand size.
You're right.
And then Jason rests in peace.
That's exactly what happened.
So does JED have a counter spell here?
How can JD not with 7 spells in hand?
Well, 2 of them are Ledger Shredder. We know that
True.
much.
Okay, so 5. And one, we would know Charter Course is 1.
Yep.
Down to 4.
And Test of Talents is not a counter spell that is
In this
very
case.
good against the Wandering Emperor.
Okay.
The numbers are starting to get worse.
I was really excited at 7.
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
get down to 3, it's a little less.
I see a
so.
sleight of hand. I see an opt. These numbers are dwindling quickly, Mark.
Really, they are. There's a Ledger Shredder. And a second spell for the turn is a Sleight of Hand.
All right, Spell Pierce. That's the name of the game.
Right.
Looking for a Pierce. Honestly, Jason could just go for Wandering Emperor here. Say, if you're digging for a counter spell, I'm going to get this into play, and then say, what are you going to do about it? Connive trigger first.
That's interesting. That's the only Planeswalker that kind of line of play would apply
Yeah.
to.
Only the Wandering Emperor, but it's such a cool design card in what it allows you to do. Those aren't Spell Pierce.
No, Arclight Phoenix and a land. Jean-Emmanuel has a Steam Vents in hand already as well for this turn. Yikes.
Can he afford to not attack in this spot?
Really curious to see what he does.
And the worst part is, if JD sniffs it out and doesn't attack, Jason has a Memory Deluge. There's no wasted mana.
Wow. And can find all types of nonsense. Yes, and JD does play around it
Yeah.
and passes the turn, but this is the punishing play that Jason has at their disposal. The Memory Deluge.
Man, in JDC, you go back through all of the counter spells that he passed up throughout the course of this game, opting for more draw spells, opting for more pressure. Oof. Another creativity, not the best draw. Prismari Command, good. That creates a token for you to creativity off of. I like that. Land Prismari Command picked up.
And if Jean-Emmanuel's not going to be attacking with a 10 power, 11, whatever it is now, that could give Jason a lot of time to work.
Yep.
But Jean-Emmanuel,
Chilling.
he knew.
Yeah.
He's not doing it.
Not going to play into it. Just the discipline from, you know, our world champion. Let's make sure we mention that again. The reigning Magic World Champion.
That's right. Is that opt there?
It is opt. I think Hall of the Storm Giants on top. Yep.
You're right.
Good land. As far as lands go, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Another opt.
Connive.
Yeah, that was the Steam Vents into hand, but as you mentioned, there will be a trigger as well.
Counterspell still does it, I think.
Yep.
That's a cruise. That's not doing anything. Bye-bye. Spell Pierce, not the counterspell you need.
It has outlived its.
Yeah, that's 6 land
outstayed
pervasive.
its welcome
yeah,
here.
that's not doing it. 2 disputes at least in the exile, and that's all the disputes JD plays. 1 negate on the bottom. I don't think he's shuffled it back.
Jean-Emmanuel trying to set up a turn where he can attack with his creatures, protect them, and win the game that turn.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Crackling Drake. All these actions are growing it.
I think it's 13 or 14 now.
Yeah, unfortunately, the handy-dandy die that we had on the side of the screen showing us the number, that's gone.
Yeah.
Probably because it was a D10, and the Drake has outgrown that.
Maybe upgrade to a 20 over
Baby's
there.
first die, and, you know, that Crackling Drake ages quickly.
It does. Take a look at Crackling Drake there. If you haven't played with or against, great card.
Upkeep. Yes.
Oh, we have an upkeep play
Oh, I love this. Jason is able to make this play, the one, you know, suggested the previous turn,
there. Yeah.
because they have access to a backup one. So now, if JD doesn't go for an attack, well, they can do the same thing the next turn, and they get around JD being able to draw more counter spells.
Awesome play from Jason. Really cool.
Jason is playing at such a high level, which is unsurprising from a player of their caliber, 100K winner in Las Vegas and sitting at 11-3. But this is just such an impressive piloting of the deck from them here.
Definitely. These are the type of matches that make the Pro Tour special.
Really are.
Jean-Emmanuel just not attacking,
No.
you know, that kind of stuff. Awesome.
Picked up a Picklock Prankster. Jean-Emmanuel can go for a Phoenix hard cast, send them both at the Wandering Emperor. Emperor can exile one, but still go away. But that's only if he wants to force the Emperor.
Sure. You got a 1-3. He just has to pass the turn.
Yep.
Fog, baby. That is awesome.
The Wandering Emperor.
That was such a sweet
such
play
a
by
cool
Jason.
card.
I just
Oh.
love that. And they were all upkeep, you
Yep.
know.
Nope, it
Gotcha.
wasn't a I need to think about this. This was planned. As soon as that second Wandering Emperor was drawn, Jason was on top of that line. I think Sacred Foundry was the draw for the turn. Not doing that much for Jason here. Does have access to Prismari Command for a token as well as creativity if they would like in the same turn.
I just forget the number. I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with that. Just do another count. 13, as you said. All right, here we go.
Upgraded die and
That's
everything.
a D12.
Oh, it's a 12? All right.
13 on the side. Don't think we're going to see Jason go for Atraxa here. Too risky when it uses all your mana. It doesn't use all your mana. You can just target the Wandering Emperor
Target
token.
myself twice, draw 2, discard 2, make a trigger. Okay.
Okay, Jean-Emmanuel says, sure, Prismari Command goes.
2 lands, probably going to hit the bin here.
2 Sacred Foundries.
Jason might go for creativity. X equals 2. Can't. X equals 1 is the best. They have to leave up the second Wandering Emperor, but I don't think they can pay for a Spell Pierce now, even with the land drop.
Next one? Yeah.
Oh, they can go for X equals 2 with the land, targeting both tokens. But again, Spell Pierce. Maybe deeming this is the best option for them.
Huh, interesting.
Go ahead. Take a lift out of free the same.
And no.
I think JED can do this.
Wandering Emperor, number 2 in hand for Jason. But only 1 spare mana,
Yeah,
not 2.
Spell Pierce is live now. Count goes to 14.
He's up to 14. Yep.
So that means that Jean-Emmanuel does have lethal.
In the air.
Yep.
Wandering Emperor.
Spell Pierce it. You can even do it twice if you really needed to, but you don't need to.
Spell Pierce should be good enough.
It's good enough. 15.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, right?
Yeah, you have enough to spare.
Is there anything that Jason
That's a
can
Jory
do to get out
disruption
of
as
this?
well. I think it's over.
Does
The
Jean-Emmanuel
pattern
just
continues.
find a
3
victory
years in
here?
a row.
This is a top 8 for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz with a successful attack step here.
Thank you with everything.
Marshall,
You with everything, and that's
Oh
it.
my
Another
God.
top 8 for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, fresh off of a World Championship victory and a top 8. 3 years in a row?
Marshall,
Is that part of the prize pool I
are
didn't
Magic
know
World
about?
Champions good at Magic? Is that
Yeah,
what's happening?
maybe that's the only lesson we have to learn
Yeah,
here
that's
is
the takeaway from this.
when you're playing that well, sometimes you could just keep playing that well and it
Yeah,
works
just
again.
stay in the zone.
Still. But even then, though, I mean, it is incredible that that's happened because you know how it is. You can be the best player in the room and have a great deck.
Yeah.
You are absolutely by no means even a favorite necessarily to top 8.
No, absolutely not. These tournaments are incredibly hard.
That's incredible.
And JED started out 0-2 this weekend.
Yeah.
0-2. We watched those matches.
Didn't slow him down.
Yeah,
at all.
no.
Congratulations to Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. His reign of domination continues. We're going to take a short break here from Chicago, but when we come back, we'll have more win-and-ins for top 8. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to coverage here of Pro Tour Murders at Karlov Manor. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm with Monty Devuti. We're in Chicago, and we are ready for another winning in for you here. This is where the tension is fully ratcheted up. We just saw Jean-Emmanuel Depraz secure his seat, and we've got yet another of this exact same scenario where it's a winning in to see who secures the top 8 seat.
Exactly.
Now, these are not necessarily elimination matches for the players who lose, so if you're rooting for one player and they don't happen to win, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily out, but you know, you take the sure thing when you can when you get to this stage of a tournament.
Yeah, the next win puts them within a good chance, but it's no longer guaranteed when they lose this round. Getting the 12th win in the last round, that just puts you in the tiebreaker conversation. There's no guarantees in that last round.
That's right, and you can see our matchup here. Adam Edelsen versus Simon Nielsen. We just had our reigning world champion get that seat in the top 8. Will Simon Nielsen, our current player of the year, do the same thing? Well, Adam was our overnight leader. We're going to see if he can secure the deal here and convert that great day 1 into a day 2. Now, into a top 8. As we come in, though, as you can see, we are in game 3. So we are fully down to the wire between these players. It looks like Adam's going to be on the play for game 3.
Yeah, looks like a mulligan for Simon as well. And this is not the first time these two have faced today, Marshall. We watched them face in draft earlier, where Adam was the winner with that incredible blue-red artifact clue deck featuring 3 gear drakes.
Let's see how things go for Adam getting to be on the play. He's actually going to fire off a lightning axe, but it's a good one. Arclight Phoenix in the yard puts favorite hoplite in the graveyard for Simon Nielsen before the turn gets passed back over.
Yeah, anytime you're able to take out the hoplite, that's great. Adam getting the Phoenix in the graveyard, just extra bonus. And Simon, another hoplite, that's what you need. And the shock from the Sacred Foundry really suggesting that Simon does have the protection to keep up here and try to keep it alive.
Favorite hoplite sitting there looking innocent, but in reality it's extremely threatening. You saw the respect that Adam gave it on the last turn.
Yeah, Heroic is a deck that is pseudo-weak to removal. Of course, they have a lot of creatures, and they do have a lot of ways to protect them, but as long as you are keeping their creatures off of the board or summoning sick, you are giving yourself the best chance of being able to combat them. Heroic in a lot of ways reminds me, actually, of this limited format, Murders of Karlov Manor. They get down with a big burst. It's on you as the opponent to survive that burst, whether that's through defense, removal, whatever it may be. And then if you do, it becomes really hard for them to come back and win the game.
That's right. Sea Monastery Swift Spear added to the board here for Nielsen. He's going to attack with both creatures. Adam considering throwing a block of Ledger Shredder in front of the Swift Spear.
Simon's already cast a spell in the Swift Spear, so if Simon was to cast a pump spell or any spell to try to trigger Heroic/Prowess, Ledger Shredder would also trigger, so the first spell would at least keep up in size.
Right, at least with the Prowess, yeah. So there's Monstrous Rage. That's going to target the Hoplite, though.
Yeah, Swift Spear has Prowess, Hoplite has Heroic, so you're typically going to see most, if not all, spells targeting the Hoplite, and the Swift Spear will just enjoy the accidental buffs that it gains along the way.
Chad had an interesting question. Is Heroic a tier 1 deck in Pioneer?
No.
Okay. Because it is here, right?
It is
you've
here.
got some evidence, but...
Outside of Simon, we haven't really seen it do that well. We saw Kevin playing it earlier. That fell to in Seoul. We saw David Inglis go 1-6-1 day one. It hasn't put up the best results. I think the deck is powerful, but I don't think it is a tier 1 deck, and it's pretty fragile.
Yeah, it must be nice to be Player of the Year. Just pick up anything.
Look, Simon is pretty darn good at Magic, as it turns out.
Incredible.
Funnily enough, Simon, we watched him lose the first round of Constructed yesterday, and he tweeted he was thinking, maybe Heroic's just a bad deck. Maybe I picked a bad deck. And then he ended up winning out the day, so, you know, those thoughts were, you know, dismissed. But definitely it was like, there was a moment where he was thinking, did I mess up?
Did I? Yeah. But the answer is no, this looks like not. All right,
At least for now.
If Simon can continue to fight back, and he can.
So I guess fine trick out a little letter, trigger.
Adam already has something lined up, but
Yeah.
might as well get the loot first.
Yeah, definitely. And you're going to get your own connive as well.
And it's going to be Brazen Borrow to bounce the Hoplite.
Oh, that's a devastating curve.
Wow, so this was really both players sort of in a small, compact window throwing everything they had onto the table, and somehow it was Adam
Yeah, the big difference being Simon
who's the
has
last
no
one to
cards in
cast.
hand now.
Exactly.
Ooh, and when your opponent's discarding the Torch to the Tower, that's when you know things are getting bad.
Yeah, watch all these cards go to the graveyard.
Doesn't that fizzle?
I believe Reckless Rage has 2 targets, so even if the creature you're targeting is removed, the damage is still dealt. So
Yeah, that's
Adam
what Simon
asking-
said,
Yeah.
and that's what Adam found out.
Yeah, Adam is
So-
asking, doesn't that fizzle? No.
They traded off a lot of resources. What does Adam have? 1 card left?
Adam has 1 card left, the Torch to the Tower that Adam discarded.
Oh! And Simon did not want to see Anger of the Gods.
Creature.
But he did. Okay, there's Legionnaire to get right back into it. Down to 6 is Adam.
Cruise? No. Okay.
Free to pay?
Free of the Fae.
Ah, there it is. Yeah.
What did he find? I didn't see.
Fiery Impulse.
Fiery Impulse.
Any removal is good here because Simon's in top deck mode. If Simon draws a creature, there's no spell to protect it or pressure. If Simon draws a spell, there's no creature to pump. So really any removal spell was good enough here, and Adam found a 1-mana 1 there that's perfect.
Okay, let's see if Simon can continue top decking Threads. No. Gigantha in hand. Okay. Pass the turn back over to Adam, and he finally gets to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. Now, can he get a Phoenix or 2 Phoenixes into play this turn? That's the question. He starts off with Consider. Okay, that's spell number 2 is Consider. He put that in the hand, and that's a Treasure Cruise. Basically the perfect sequence for him. Boy, he's playing really quickly.
Yeah, you're not kidding. 5, 6, 7. Draw 3 off my treasure tree.
And then when he goes to combat, those Phoenixes will come into play as well. And that's a nice little clock, 6 in the air.
I'm getting some deja vu here, Marshall. Earlier on, Adam was just sacrificing treasures and taking game actions, and he said, "This is fun." And Simon was like, "I'm glad you're having fun." Well, Adam is probably having fun here, but Simon, not so much.
Gigantha the Wellspring hits the battlefield now for Nielsen.
Island.
It's hard to imagine that that's going to be enough. Adam also at a annoying 6 if you're looking at Simon's seat.
There are ways, Monstrous Rage, Ancestral Anger, to give trample to the Gigantha. Adam has to be aware of this. If he doesn't have the interaction, then he needs to leave some amount of toughness back. Prankster is a good one. That's 3 toughness. But still a little tight.
He's just putting out toughness here, right? Just chumpers, blockers, things that can soak up trample. He can attack with just 1 Arclight Phoenix and still have lethal in the air next turn, assuming that his board's intact. Or he can attack with 2 and give himself a little bit of redundancy. And he's going to do that. Down to 4 falls Nielsen. And this is it. He's got to kill Adam now, or it's hard to imagine him getting out of this.
2 lands. Nope. Wait, 1 is a Defiant Strike. Hold on. Not 2 lands.
Defiant Strike's a rebuy.
That's a rebuy.
Top deck.
Keeping that sideways, just
deserves another.
It is a rage.
Is it a Monstrous Rage?
It is a rage.
It's a rage of some sort?
Okay, so 6 power currently, 7, 8, 9. So just Prankster is not enough, but Adam will know that. Double block, and Simon is 1 short.
Oh, what a heartbreaker.
Doing the math, double block, that's it. This is the rage.
And he had the Monstrous Rage.
4, I go to 1.
Yeah.
6 plus 3.
Do the math
9.
again.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
Simon thought he was winning it right there.
Simon thought he had it. 1.
Go down to 1, but the 2 Arclight Phoenix are enough to get the job done in the air.
What is the 1?
Yeah, that's why I played the Pyro.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Good games.
Good games.
Oh, what a win for Adam Edelsen, and he's going to find himself in the top 8 as well, making life difficult for a reigning Player of the Year there. Boy, he thought he had it.
Yeah, I think Simon really thought he had it there. And you know, Adam couldn't have left back a Phoenix. He played it exactly as he needed to, because if Simon just attacks, you're blocking with the Prankster anyways. If you don't attack that turn, you're giving up your opportunity at lethal. So Adam played it perfectly. Simon played to his outs, almost had it, just a little short.
Yeah, he needed 1 more cantripping thing, and then
any point of damage from anywhere that he could find.
Wow, that was incredible. All right, we've got 1 more match to bring you, and of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, if you were here, these are all win-and-ins. Take a look at Alex Friedrichsen versus Miguel Simoes, and they are battling Izzet Phoenix versus Lotus Field combo, and we're going to pop in here pretty deep into this match. In fact, taking a look here at Alex, and there's Miguel. Let's jump into game number 3 here to see who it is. Oh boy, we got a whole lot going on here.
Marshall, we got mana symbols out.
Mana symbols are out. That's really the most important thing, because that means that it looks like Alex is very much in the midst of going off with Lotus Field combo here. And if that's the case, given that this is game 3, if he can finish it off, that's top 8 for Alex.
Yeah, and Lear is out as well. So the fact that Miguel has 1 mana up, counter spells are not live. So The only thing Miguel could have had here would be a Lightning Axe to get this Lear off the board, and Miguel doesn't have it. So we've come in mid-progress, but I think what we've come in on is the verge of Alex Friedrichsen securing top 8 here, assuming the Lotus Field combo deck that doesn't really ever fizzle, doesn't fizzle.
That's right. It never fizzles, though.
Lear is just such an outrageously powerful card.
It really is. Yeah, all the pieces are here. Alex looks like he's just going through the motions. Is that a pour? Yeah.
That is a pour. You really do not want to mess up in this spot. Miscount your mana, miss a trigger, accidentally deck yourself.
Totally.
These are the things that Alex has to just make sure. Yes, you're deep in the round. Yes, you may be low on time. Yes, this is an exciting moment, but you are playing for top 8 of the Pro Tour first round.
Don't forget to tap and untap lands there.
Oof. Man, we have had some great win-ins this round.
Looks like we're up to 10 blue. Hidden Strings is going to pump that up even more. Double Lotus Field on the battlefield, as you can see.
Dark Petition time.
I mean, they're playing for top 8, so Miguel probably sees the writing on the wall, but is like, look, this isn't a spot where I can just say,
you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we'll save a little bit of time. It's like, no, you got to show me.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Dark Petition, you don't have to reveal. Is it just Omniscience here? 6, 3. Yeah, this looks like 10 mana.
That will move things along very nicely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Omniscience on the battlefield now.
Yeah, and
everything's free.
I see the Narcissus Reversal in hand, so...
There's a Troxa.
Yeah.
Miguel says, sure. Trigger resolves. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, looking for Mastermind's Acquisition. I believe, if you even have it.
There's a Chandra in there. I see a Dragon Lord Dramoka.
Yeah.
There's
Charm.
the classic,
All right.
and Miguel has had enough. Alex Friedrichsen secures top 8 as well. So we got to see 3 top 8 seats filled here and 1 last round as well. So we're halfway home.
Halfway, 4 of the players in our top 8 decided, and by my count, it's 1 Vampires, 2 Phoenix, and a Lotus Field.
That sounds like Pioneer to me.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, the new deck. So that's Sam Pardee, filling out that Vampire seat, and then the rest are more traditional metagame choices. But we're only halfway there. We'll see how it shapes up.
We're halfway there. We have a round to go, and the most exciting round of Magic of the weekend is definitely round 16, where every match we're watching has such high impact. It is going to be just electrifying to see who is going to round out the top 8 and what our Sunday field is going to look like.
That's right. We're going to throw it to a short break here, but when we come back, we've got yet another round of Pioneer coverage for you here from Chicago. Don't go anywhere.
welcome to the official MTG Arena YouTube channel. My name's Jim Davis.
My name is Eshlazul.
It's CGB, and you are playing the best game, in my humble opinion.
Everything is like a little puzzle. Like, how much damage can I do this turn? And then out of nowhere, you can have lethal.
One of the allures of playing a monocolor deck is no mana screw, no mana problems. It's a good, straightforward deck.
And that's how you beat a Shieldred. Sweet.
Let's go! Like, that is a perfect example.
And the victory is mine.
Learn from the best with weekly deck techs on MTG Arena's YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/@playmtgarena to level up your game today. Well, there's a live look at the floor here at the Pro Tour area of MagicCon Chicago. Lots of action here still in the building as we work our way down towards our top 8. And we have one round left to do it. Marie Bartholdi and Cedric Phillips with you here at the news desk. And we're very pleased to report we've got some more people into our top 8 who are very excited indeed. And they talked with Riley after securing their spots.
The reigning world champion Jean-Emmanuel Depraz is one of our top 8 competitors. Jean-Emmanuel starting off 0-2 and then an easy 11-1 to get to the top 8, including no losses in constructed. How are you feeling after what is an incredible performance, mate?
I wouldn't call it easy. It's been a ride for sure. Like I've done a number of mistakes this weekend, like most of them on camera, and I feel like I'm happy that I managed to pull through all these mistakes. But I still need to tighten up if I want to get to the end.
Well, mate, I'm sure you're going to bring your A game tomorrow for the top 8. We can't wait to see you, the reigning world champion, back at the top once again. Congratulations, JED.
Thank you, Riley.
Alex Friedrichsen has made the top 8 of this Pro Tour. Alex, congratulations, your second Pro Tour, and you've made the top 8. You must be over the moon.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like, I did not come here expecting to top 8. I played like 20 matches of Lotus Field and boom, like it worked out. I'd like to thank my parents, my testing team, and yeah, it feels amazing. I'm ready to play tomorrow.
I'm getting the sense that it's still sinking in for you, Alex, mate. Congratulations. We can't wait to see you perform in the top 8. Best of luck to you tomorrow, and congratulations once again.
Thank you so much, Riley.
I'm here with Adam Edelsen, who has locked up his spot in the top 8. Adam, 6 wins in Limited. You've made it to the Magic 12th win as well. You must be over the moon, mate. Tell us how you're feeling.
I cannot be any more excited. You know, a couple lucky breaks my way, and, you know, sometimes it's just your weekend. And, you know, shout out to all my friends who supported me, specifically Luis and Mogd for the deck list. And shout out to my mom and my girlfriend Helena for supporting me. And, you know, I couldn't have dreamed of this, and I'm super excited to play tomorrow.